So the tickets are all booked, flights all set, hotel is all set, and I'm packing my electronics and equipment in a bag. So it looks like I'm all set to cover Open Source Summit. Will you be there? I mean, I have been going to Open Source Summit since 2009 when it was still called LinuxCon. They actually changed the name last year, and I think that was an apt change, because if you have been to any LinuxCon before, you would have noticed that it's not just about Linux. You see all these open source projects there, and that reflects what is already going on in the industry. So if you step back and look at the organization that organizes LinuxCon, which is the Linux Foundation, they started off with Linux, but today they are home to almost all major and critical projects. Whether you look at Cloud Foundry, whether you look at Hyperledger projects, whether you look at, of course, the Linux kernel, and there are so many different projects in Linux Foundation. Even companies like Google, they donate, when they open source something, a critical piece of infrastructure like Kubernetes, they donate it to the Linux Foundation. Docker is donating a lot of their components to the Linux Foundation. So Linux Foundation is not just about Linux anymore. It's a kind of big umbrella for all these open source projects. And when you go to this event, you see all those projects. So I think it's right time to change the name from the LinuxCon to Open Source Summit. I have been going there for so many years, and one reason why I keep going back to LinuxCon or Open Source Summit now is that this is the biggest open source event in the world. As I explained earlier, the Linux Foundation is a big umbrella. So at LinuxCon or Open Source Summit, you get to see all these open source projects. And it's not just the projects which are part of Linux Foundation. You see all those other projects like OpenStack or Docker, which has nothing to do with Linux Foundation, or Apache Software Foundation. They will all be there. Like Free Software Foundation, that will be there. So when you go to Open Source Summit, you get to meet people, you get to meet developers, you get to meet executives, you get to meet representatives of those open source projects, which could be Fedora or OpenSUSE or other projects that I named. You get to meet executives from the companies who either sponsor these projects or who consume these projects. And then, of course, you meet representatives from a lot of other open source organizations. So the exposure that you get at Open Source Summit, you will not get anywhere else. Another good reason to go there is to see how open source is driving our economy today. You'll see a lot of companies who are consuming open source. You get to hear from some of the leading faces of the open source world. It's not just people from the open source world, because this year a lot of best-selling authors are coming there. And the biggest, I think, highlight is the Hollywood actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who played the character of Snowden in the Snowden movie. He will be there. I don't know how many of you know, but he founded a company called Hit Record, which is an online collaborative production company which makes things like short films, books, and DVD, and it's a collaborative platform. So it's not about open source in general, but it's about collaboration, and collaboration is a core component of open source software development model. And of course, you'll get to hear from a lot of key people from the open source world. And it's not just meeting those key people who will be delivering their speeches. You also get to meet the leading developers, not only of the Linux kernel community, but also from other open source projects. So, I mean, how often do you get time to actually meet those people? You may have interacted with them over mailing lists, or through their blogs or Google Plus or Twitter, but here you get to actually meet them face to face, and you can sit down and chit chat with them. It's a very kind of organic and very natural environment at LinuxCon. And I have been going there for such a long time that I have made a lot of friends there. Of course, most of my friends are from the open source world, but a lot of people that I had been interacting with online I get to meet them personally, like SJV, and I get to meet him every year. He's kind of my mentor when it comes to journalism. Ricky Ensley from the opensource.com, or Rick Bowen from Red Hat or Apache Software Foundation. We bump into each other every time. A lot of people from Red Hat, from SUSE, from Canonical, a lot of companies like Abby Kreens from Cloud Foundry, Boris Rensky from Mirantis. So we it's kind of like Mecca of all of us, where we get to meet with each other every year. So it's not just about meeting those people, it's also about making new friends. So you should be there to not only stay connected with your friends, but also make new friends. So that's another reason to be there. And if you have kids, you should bring your kids there, because LinuxCon, Open Source Summit is the only event that I'm aware of which is a very inclusive event. First of all, they organize a kids day. It's a workshop for a whole day for school-going kids, where they get exposure to computers and basic coding. I was there last year and I did some interviews with some kids and their parents. It was so exciting to see all those kids, and they were talking about, yes, my dad used Arch Linux at home and I use, that's my computer also, we share the same computer. And it's a very, very kind of interesting experience. So if you have kids, you can bring your kids for that one day. That's on, I think, 10th, which is Sunday. And bringing kids doesn't mean that you are now stuck with them. Linux Foundation is also incredibly I commend them, because they started a daycare at Open Source Summit, where you can leave your kids in the morning and they'll be safe there, and you can pick them in the evening or whenever you want. So that's why I always bring my kids and my wife to the event, so that I can drop my kids there and me and my wife can go out network, and I can do my interviews and stuff. So if you have kids, that's another reason to bring your whole family with you. If you have been reading a lot of news recently, there was a lot of discussion about diversity. I come from India. I grew up in India, then I moved to Europe, and then I moved to US. So I do know the value of when you bring a diverse group of people, the way they can solve problems no one else can solve, because they bring different kind of inputs from cultural background, ethnic background, and a lot of different inputs. So the way we move forward is incredible. So it's very important to increase diversity in the technology world. And Linux Foundation kind of recognizes that. Last year they did a Women Networking Summit. It was Women Networking Breakfast, which I kind of covered for them. And this year they got such a incredible positive response that they have dedicated one day, which they call Diversity Summit, where you will get to meet people from different backgrounds, both genders, and maybe LGBT community. So it's a very inclusive event. And if you are somebody who either wants to contribute to this cause, or who's somebody who wants to benefit and wants to see what kind of environment we should be building in the technology world, I think this is an event which you should attend. That's, I think, on the 14th, last day. I have put a link to the schedule there, so you can check it out. So if you're in the area, I think this is a must attend event. If you're near LA, you should take your time out and go and attend the event. Oh, one thing, I almost forgot about it. The biggest perk of being at LinuxCon is, I keep saying LinuxCon, Open Source Summit, is that you get to meet Linus Torvalds himself. He is there almost every year, because there is a panel discussion between him and his best buddy, Dirk Hohendel or Jim Zemlin. And you may be tempted to take a selfie with him. Don't, because he doesn't really like selfies. I mean, I've been meeting him since a very long time, and I do know about what things he doesn't like. But only thing I can say is that don't look at what he says on mailing list and how he interacts with his employees. I think most CEOs do that, but he's a really pleasant man to talk to meet, and and he's very kind of humble and down-to-earth guy, so you can just approach him and talk about whatever you want to talk about. He's very well, very informed, so you can talk about things, and he's very fun to talk to. I have the luxury, being a journalist, I do get to spend more time with him for interviews and stories. Like last year, I did a 50-minute long interview where I sat with him and we talked about a lot of things. I actually should post that interview on YouTube. That's a good idea. I will be doing it with a follow-up post where I'll post his interview. So where we talked about so many different things, and when you talk to him, you'll feel inspired, because he doesn't talk big, he doesn't talk like Steve Jobs or thing. He's so down to earth that it makes you humble, that you look back and think, hey, this is how I should be doing things. So he's a very inspirational character, kind of personality, where you get to learn a lot from him. You'll get inspired after meeting him. So I think that is the biggest reason for being at Open Source Summit. So if you were not planning, I think you should go there. And as I said, I will be there. I'm bringing all of my equipments. So I'll be recording a lot of videos from there. I'll be, tweeting live from there. I'm bringing my 360 camera. So I'll be doing a lot of 360 pictures and videos. So if you want to stay updated with what's going on at Open Source Summit, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. The links are below, and I will also recommend to follow me on Twitter, Google Plus, and Facebook. I will put all the links below. So enjoy this, and I'll see you next time, most probably with the Linus Torvalds interview that I did last year for the 25th anniversary of Linux. Thanks for watching. See you again. Bye bye.